Fine, fine. How are you?
Fine, fine. Thank you. Thank you.
Working from home?
Yeah, yeah, but busy with work. We have started work here at
Ah,
Mysore.
oh, nice. Mysore is out of everything. Good to hear.
Not really, but we are coping up with things.
Aya, good to see you. I think the last time we met was in Chicago.
I was about to tell you that
Yes,
such a pleasure that to get connected again,
I
Sumita ji.
know. I
Later
know.
we should.
Yes, we have to sync up. We have so much to
Yes,
catch up on.
yes, dear, yes.
Hi, this is Jaya.
Uh, can you hear me? Hello, ma'am.
Hi, we are all
How are you
muted.
doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Welcome on board, ma'am.
Thank you.
Just a few moments, ma'am.
Sure.
Waiting for everybody to just wait, join in. So.
No problem.
We are going to be also live airing on YouTube, so I'll be sending the link shortly, so that y'all can send it across to other people. They can watch you. We're just waiting for one more person, and once she comes, then we can just start. So kindly excuse. Jyoti, are we ready, Jyoti? I'll just start.
Check. Ma'am is on. Yeah. Yeah.
Suzanne?
Yeah. I'll just call her.
Hmm.
I will introduce her to the group. Then you can start.
Yes, please. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, all of us are there. Would you
Okay.
want to start addressing?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So good afternoon, ladies. This is my third in my series of webinars that I have been engaged in on the issue of restarting the economy and rebooting the economy, as I call it, post the coronavirus shock to the economy. The first webinar that I had was with the MSME, the group, the community, and there were 400 odd MSMEs that engaged with me. And if you followed what happened yesterday, the government of India has come out with a fairly significant set of initiatives that are aimed at helping and rebooting the MSME sector, which accounts for a large part of our economy. So this is the model of engaging with the government through people like me is working, and that is why I wanted to reach out to you, speak to you, share my views, and as well hear from you and see if there is any way that I can help in this process of restarting your businesses and getting back to life, at least life in terms of the business and the economy as it was earlier. I just make a few points, brief points, just for your understanding. I'm sure most of you already know this. The coronavirus impact on the economy has been sharp. We have had about 60 days of lockdown, which is, let us say, a combination of about 45 to 50 days of almost total lockdown. And we will see as we move into lockdown 4.0 that this lockdown will ease, but it will still place a lot of restrictions on our lives and perhaps even on the way we conduct our businesses. So that is point number one. The impact on the economy of that total lockdown has been significant. Even if you do the simple math and say we were 200 lakh crores in the economy last year, and you say that we have lost, let us say, 8 weeks of that in this year, not adjusted for any growth, that just that 8 weeks out of 52, divide 8 by 52 times 200 tells you that we've lost in the region of between 15 to 17 lakh crores, just lost in those 60 days. So that is a significant hit that the economy has taken. And therefore, the challenges that the disruption in the supply chain, the disruption in demand that comes from social distancing, the disruption in foreign capital flows generally are all serious issues. And so nobody is even suggesting that the problems arising from the coronavirus shock are small or trivial. I think we will all accept as entrepreneurs that these are fairly deep disruptive effect of the shock. But the government, and now leaving that to the side and then moving to looking forward, the government and the Prime Minister is very clear that there should be not any damage to the real economy and pieces of the real economy, which is entrepreneurs like yourself. And to the extent that the government has to step in and help in the soft landing of the real economy and then restarting and growing the economy back, the government is prepared to go the extra mile. And he has announced, as you saw 2 days ago, a 20 lakh crore package. And those are still being announced day by day. Yesterday we had a 5.5 lakh crore package. About a month ago, we had a 1.7 lakh crore package for the poor and the migrants and the rural poor. And so next 3 days, you will see many more packages coming out that will hopefully help in both the soft landing of the economy and as well as to move the economy forward and grow it under the model of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So that is the second point I wanted to make. And the third point I just wanted to say before I hear you out is to explain a little bit about the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, just so that there is a clarity in all your minds what that means. It is clear that India has available to it an unprecedented historical opportunity that India as a nation and all of us as entrepreneurs will be able to pursue, which is the growing change globally on the perception of the dependence on China. So it is quite clear that over the next few years, there is going to be a supply chain diversification out of China into other countries. Now, there is no guarantee that it will all come to India, but the government is keen to make sure that India is a destination and is a competitive destination for all those companies that are moving their supply chains out of China. So that, along with the fact that we have a large market in India, points to an opportunity for manufacturing and the services sector in India growing significantly and making India both globally competitive and self-reliant, not self-sufficient, self-reliant. And that is the basic premise of Atmanirbhar Bharat. It is not about protectionism. It is not about Swadeshi, as the socialists like to refer to self-sufficiency. This is not autarky. This is really about creating an economy that is globally competitive, has the scales to be globally competitive, has the technology, innovation, and capabilities to be globally competitive. But at the same time, it is also servicing the domestic consumers in demand. So I will leave it at that, and I'm happy to hear. I will be pleased to engage with you and discuss with you what you believe are your issues, your concerns as the economy starts rebooting, and if there is any way I can help engage or be a bridge between you and the government, I would be happy to do so. So over to you.
Sir, before we could proceed, we have Ms. Ratnaprabha, the former Chief Secretary of Karnataka.
Sure.
She would like to address the crowd for a minute, sir.
Sure, go ahead.
Ma'am? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can everybody hear me? So good afternoon, sir. And first of all, let me congratulate you and appreciate your gesture for meeting the women entrepreneurs. I think this is the first time something like this has happened in the entire country, that the women as a separate sector has been, taken very seriously, and you have come to talk to us and, discuss our problems. So I would like to convey my appreciation and thanks to you, because I had said the Prime Minister's office that we should have a separate policy and focus for women entrepreneurs, but that did not see the daylight. So I think this first meeting of yours is a very good initiative, and I would be very grateful if you could continue to champion our cause and handhold the various issues the women entrepreneurs face, and especially during this corona crisis which has come about. So I would just like to raise, and I think I don't know whether an introduction has been given, but after I retired as Chief Secretary, or even when I was the industry's additional Chief Secretary, we did have a policy for women. And we brought, later on after I retired, we brought all the women associations under one umbrella. We registered it into a society and we call it Ubuntu. So we have some 20 to 22 women associations all over Karnataka and other parts of India with us. And we try to promote these women associations and also help them in resolving their problems and marketing their products and handholding them. So I think your support in this meeting will actually go a long way. It will spread to many associations, whatever this, and many of them are here to participate in the discussion also. Sir, I would like to just highlight, divide the issues into two parts. One is the central government and the state government. And since you also belong to Karnataka, I'm sure you can also help in getting us some solutions in the state as well as in India, as well as from Government of India. Now, the general, statistics, I'm just reeling out a few statistics, like, which I just got them. So 63 million MSMEs we have in our country, which constitute 45% of our industrial production. So if we concentrate on MSEs, a large number of percentage of issues will get resolved, out of which 30.5% are from the service sector, and 20% of these industries are in rural areas. Now, when we come down to women, the statistics, there are various statistics. Some say 12% are women entrepreneurs and 14%. But what we got from Government of India, from the MSME department, it says that 20.36% are women entrepreneurs, but they are unfortunately spread out in very few states like Telangana, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Rajasthan. A few states we have women entrepreneurs, not in entire country. But anyway, that's not our issue. Now, coming to the way, and Government of India has really given us various programs which cannot be discussed in this forum. But now, when we come to the present situation, I think what the women all need would be presently they would need working capital, because there is no specific scheme for women to to take up their now, because of the crisis and the funds being a major issue. If there is something called a working capital given on interest fee, women can use them for the production, their rents and the salaries, etc., whatever they want. Because Stand Up India is a scheme for SC, STs and women. Both of them are clubbed into one category, and each bank is supposed to give only one loan, and that is also for startups. So if we talk of women entrepreneurs who are already in business, I think there is a need for a separate package for them. Similarly, on the Mauritian part, they said that that it has been deferred, but some of the industrialists called me and said that the banks are charging interest. So I think whatever the stand government of India has taken, in reality, it has not been implemented. This is a feedback I got from some of the entrepreneurs. Second thing is that the government of India now, when you make procurements, a lot of procurements are taking place, like the like the sanitizers, the masks, and the PPEs, and various manufacturing for the ventilators, etc., etc. So much of business government of India is giving to the states, and states are also procuring. So some percentage has to be given to women entrepreneurs, because when the bidding takes place, as usual, they all lose on the various criteria, the hard criteria, the tough criteria state governments actually put up in the tender process. So maybe some sort of, the quality is good, and they put some standards which our women entrepreneurs can prescribe. They also should be given some sort of a business. That's what I feel. And the other things like the PF and ESI and all that, which the employer and the employee have to be contribute, maybe that also can be extended. That's what I sort of thought as far as government of India is concerned. Basically, handhold, have a separate policy for women. Let us all sit together. Let Karnataka be the champion to take forward a separate policy for women, because you mentioned about the scheme which government of India has introduced. So in that, can we have a separate chapter for women, which Karnataka can champion? Now coming to the state government, sir, when I was ACS Industries, we had several women's parks which were sanctioned and plots were made. But after I left, the allotment has completely been stopped, and it's all gotten to various issues. So though it's not an immediate issue, because now we are only talking of women who are in business, not women who are going to start business, but using your good offices. And since we got an opportunity to talk to you, could you talk to Chief Minister? And I am ready to take up the leadership for resolving these kind of issues, so that the women's parks can come up. And the concessional rates, we wanted these lands to be allotted at concession rates, but KIDB has increased the rates exorbitantly. Similarly, now many of the entrepreneurs have taken SFC loans, and maybe whether the interest, the repayment, can it be deferred, whether the interest can be also extended. Then they have these power bills and various bills coming forward. Maybe some concession can be given. Can we use your good offices and have a separate policy for the Karnataka state, recommendation to the state government exclusively for women entrepreneurs? There was another issue.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt you. With the request you to keep it short, and if the suggestions are a little longer, we could take it on the email, ma'am, because we have others also to be voicing.
I'm coming to the last one.
Thank you.
Now that last one. Now the wages have been every year from 1st of April, the wages have to be increased. So the Labor Department has issued the GO that the employees should pay wages, because I'm talking of policy issues which probably he could take up.
Yes.
Chief Minister, that the wages have to be increased from 1st of April. And I have been also trying to talk to the Labour Secretary, MSM, our Secretary also, Mr. Maheshwar Rao, saying that can the increase in wages, can it be deferred, because there's no business for the women or all the entrepreneurs. It is a general help which will be given to all the industrialists. And the last one is recently a committee was formed by the state government to attract investments from China and to get business headed by Chief Secretary.
Right.
But there is no committee formed to look into the issues of MSMEs and especially women and SC/STs. Can you also recommend to the state government to form a committee headed by, if they don't want, I mean, I can also head such a committee where I can look into all the issues and time to time bring it to the notice of the state government, and I can help in resolving the issues of women entrepreneurs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you want me to respond now, or would you like me to listen to everybody and then respond?
Talks, let them.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. If there's anybody else.
So the floor is open. Yes, so introduce it.
Mr. Honorable MP Rajeev Chandrasekhar ji, namaste, and namaste to all the amazing coveted women entrepreneurs that are on the panel today. Some of them I've known and worked. I think I see, it's a great initiative that you're driving, which is focused on advocating the rights and the initiatives that should be focused on for women entrepreneurs. But I'm very gender agnostic, and I say, entrepreneurship has no gender. So one of the things, sir, we have done, and I'm sharing this just to give you a background. We run close to a $200 million company, which is completely e-commerce. So we have major brands that we sell on e-commerce. We have 6 brands in health supplements. We have brands in beauty. We have our own line of lingerie, mostly selling through our Amazon, Flipkart, and Shopify stores. We took a huge hit because from selling 30 lakhs per day on some of these stores to zero, right? Because none of those products were essentials. So while we also work with a lot of partners like Cipla, Himalaya, whose business we manage, but it was all restricted. So what we quickly did was we started working with our manufacturers, and I'm a big advocate of Made in India purely because the whole perception outside is that our quality is not optimal. We don't have FDA registrations. We don't have quality control in place. But hey, look at what happened with China. 80 of the factories got stripped of FDA registration in one day because people are taking quality very seriously. So what we did was we changed the manufacturing units we were using for producing garments, producing health supplements to COVID supplies. Indeed, I'm the first woman entrepreneur to start the N95 masks, which are now being sold at a large scale to hospitals, to government, and to even address Ratna Prabha ma'am's thing that, hey, women can participate in tenders. One of the best things that PM Modi did was say that, hey, up to 200 crores, the Indian-made companies should get the priority. As I speak with you, we've already applied for BMC tenders in Mumbai. We have gotten a tender from government of Karnataka. We have gotten a tender from government of Chhattisgarh. It is more about our awareness, what we can do. So we now have our own N95 masks. We have our PPE kits. We have our OPD kits. And the goal is not to just do it in India. The moment export opens up, we will start becoming the supplier to nations which don't want to do business with China anymore because of ethics. So that's one thing. The second thing, because everybody's talking about loans, everybody's talking about working capitals. My company has been a big beneficiary of getting CGTAS MSME loan when we just started up about 4 years back, and we got an extension on it. We got additional loan on it. They didn't look at us as a women-led organization. They looked at us. We had great ideas. We were customer focused. We were doing products directly to market. And we had the loan, like we got granted the loan from Allahabad Bank, which was up to 1.5 crores. So, and it's completely interest free, no collateral, nothing. And they extended it to make it a MSME loan the moment our businesses grew. So my point is, through this platform, MP sir, my request is how we can have more focus groups for women who can help each other. Because a lot of our businesses are binary. They can actually support each other. If we have manufacturers on this panel, I would urge all of us to have a group where we know what is a Chaya doing, what is a Shom doing, what is another entrepreneur in this panel doing. So we see where is a possibility for us to cross collaborate. COVID has taught us to reprioritize and value each other a lot more, which we would take for granted. So now is the time where we can help each other. The other thing is GEM, which is a government marketplace sir, my request is how we can support women entrepreneurs to get registered on GEM a lot more easily, because it's a little complex as a system, and how that can help a lot of the consumer facing companies to get support like Chaya, like, where government can directly procure from us. The other thing which I want to make the panel aware, because I was one of the founding members for this initiative, was the Global Entrepreneurship Platform, which is an initiative of Niti Aayog. We helped build that platform. It has a lot of mentors. It has a lot of buyers from across the world that come on the platform. The idea, MP sir, would be that how some of us can become institutional investors in ideas which we feel are going to be the future. So how can women support each other as angels, as small-time investors? It can be as low as 50,000 rupees, but 50,000 rupees makes a lot of money, and that can go into business. So that's where I would like to end and say that the takeaway should be the focus groups to help each other, to support each other, and cross-collaboration. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Hema, I think, wants to speak. Priya, will you unmute?
Yeah,
Hema?
yeah. Hello? Yes, Hema.
You have to unmute her, Priya.
I have. Hello?
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, Hema.
Yeah. Namaskara. I am from Laghu Udyog Bharti. I am representing Laghu Udyog Bharti. And I have a very first thing that we want to actually, which we have been pursuing since last few years. One is that we should be certified by the central government as women-owned businesses. The very first and foremost is this is what our requirement is, because after that we will be able to actually pass on the beneficiaries, the benefit to the schemes and the benefits to the women, purely women-owned businesses. That is number one. Coming back to COVID, what has happened, sir, is though there is a lot of announcement of the loans and all those things, there is one ground level realistic problem. When we say Atmanirbhar is when we actually are taking the products which we are producing. Now here what is happening is, especially when the women-owned businesses are coming, for some or the other reasons, the women-owned products, the businesses are getting neglected, and there are many other reasons for that. But not getting into the details, I just want to actually propose, if we strictly, and forget not only for women, but all the entrepreneurs, if our corporates, if our state governments, if our governments start using our own products, the first thing, and that is on ground reality, because what is happening is right now, whatever we have talked, post that speech, if we see that happening on the floor, on the factories, when each and every factory product which is manufactured in India, if that is consumed, that is the real state of Atmanirbharta which we'll be achieving. That is one thing I really want to propose, and I want to see that the governments should, especially the state governments, should please deeply take interest and look into it. That is one. And one more last thing I wanted to propose is about the GST, sir. What has happened is, for very small micro cottage industries, though their turnover is not eligible for the GST number and all, but when they go for the suppliers, when they go for the raw material, when they go for the other things, GST is mandatory, and they will be given a preference only if they have a GST number. Whereas the micro and small cottage industry people, women entrepreneurs especially, are struggling very hard. And I just propose, if it is possible, to remove GST at least for the small and micro women entrepreneurs. That's all, sir.
Thank you. I'll just take a step. Jyoti, I will come back. I'll come to you in a minute. I will just say, I want to just say something for about 2 minutes. The package that the finance minister announced yesterday for MSMEs, which comes on the back of what the prime minister announced day before yesterday, and which further came on the back of announcements during the crisis, is an unprecedented package. This contains almost everything that I have asked for and everything that MSMEs have asked for. And I will just quickly describe to you what is in that, so that you are confident about what is available there. First of all, it says to any MSMEs, it is broaden the categories. So therefore, up to 100 crores now or and below, you are an MSME. Number one. Number two, that for every MSME today, your working capital is increased without any questions asked, without any additional collateral by 25% to help you reboot. Number one. Number two. Number three, 3 lakh crores have been made available now through the banks to MSMEs to be borrowed without collateral. This is a loan guarantee scheme, i.e. the government guarantees the loan and the repayment of the loan, and therefore there is absolutely nothing that prevents banks from lending to MSMEs and for MSMEs to borrow. Third. Fourth, for MSMEs who find themselves in the NPA situation, which a lot of MSMEs have done that, and I have been fighting for them for the last 1.5 years. There are 2 other additional ways to support MSMEs who are already in the process of being an NPA or are already in NPA. One is a 20,000 crore subordinate debt fund, and the other one is a 50,000 crore equity fund. So equity, subordinate debt, and working capital. The entire spectrum of financial solutions that an MSME requires has been yesterday laid out. This is not available to the large corporates. This is not available to the big guys. It is available only to the MSMEs. And in my opinion, I would encourage you, and as an association, as a group, to kindly go talk to your bankers. And I am available. My email is available. If you find any difficulty in any bank on any of these 3 issues or 4 issues, feel free to reach out to me, and I am very happy to intervene and make sure that those logistical issues are sorted out. I just wanted to make sure that you understood that for MSMEs, this is going beyond COVID virus. This is also addressing a problem of MSMEs that existed before COVID virus, which is that MSMEs who have become NPAs are now not disqualified from borrowing. They have access to capital. So what the Prime Minister has done is unprecedented. It is almost giving a new lease of life to MSMEs that did not have it more than 6 months ago. So go ahead. Now I'll, Jyoti, can you unmute Jyoti Priya, please?
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Ma'am explained most of the points. What I would like to tell you is, before this COVID crisis appeared, we had a few points. Almost all the COVID crisis, yesterday's PM's address and our industries minister's address have been sorted out. Still, we have few more to address on it. One is that the MSME should be considered as the primary requirement for lending interest rates. Why is it? Because if you have an industry and the job opportunities, you can look out for a vehicle loan or a housing loan. It should be the MSME loans should be below the housing loan sector and the vehicle loan sector. Once you have a job confirmed on your hand, then you can be capable of paying your loans for housing or a vehicle. So that the MSME can feed the job opportunities can be created more in the country, thus boosting the economy. Okay. My second point would be, there's no security for an employer. The TDS, what my suggestion is, if it is possible, the TDS, what the income tax deducts, can be parked a few percentage of amount in the account of an entrepreneur, so that on retirement or a pension or whatever it is can be thought of in that month. So that there's ultimately for an entrepreneur, there is no savings left out. She or he will be always on a crisis basis, feeding out for the employees, filling up the rents and the bank loans and everything. Those are the priorities. Ultimately, they will not have anything saved out of it. So even now the land policy is also so stringent in various states, there will not be any savings left out with an entrepreneur. I suggest whatever the TDS amount parked into their account, rather than returning entire amount, few amount can be parked as an EPF or something for the entrepreneur, so that it takes care in her retirement, in her or his retirement, as a pension or in one lump sum, whichever the way possible. One is that. Secondly, the self-employment should be boosted more in number, so that the interest-free loan should be provided for the same self-employment up to the level of 10 lakhs at least, because that drop by drop it creates a big ocean. The self-employment is should be more promoted in the country, sir. From the village level to the urban level. These are the 3 points. As ma'am said, and if you can champion the separate policy for women, as and now required, as and when required, we can make the policy changes and bring the women into the forefront in an entrepreneurial sector. I am the secretary of Ubuntu, sir. Ubuntu is a consortium of all women entrepreneurs of the country, and even the global also we are looking forward. And we can voice the women's issues across the country so that it can be, taken it forward through our Ratna Prabha ma'am. Okay. During her tenure as ACS, she has formed a fantastic industrial policy for the Karnataka government. Now still we are awaiting for our policy to be rooted it up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Who's next? Anybody?
We have Ms. Jaya Kumar.
Okay.
Just unmuting her.
Okay.
Jaya ma'am?
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for this initiative. Really appreciate it from your side that it is coming across for women entrepreneurs. It's amazing initiative. I run an executive search company called Kalparisha Associates. So I come from a services industry background. My concern was something like related to GST. We are in services industry and we have to pay the GST in advance for bill.
I think we've lost.
Yeah.
Can we go to
We need to move it to collection and basically current moment. Doing a
Connections.
Yeah. Are you back?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So when collections are taken a huge hit and we have to pay in advance and then adjust it against our further GST, it is going to be a big time cash flow issue rather. So if GST can be changed, moved into collection than billing, that will really help. Second important thing I want to bring it is regarding GST again. Instead of running it through our billing, companies can directly debit it into our account than running it through us as service providers, which will again control the leakage of payment and non-payment card GST. One more thing I have is about particular to do with the women entrepreneurs. If there can be some way of percentage of, companies have 33% reserved for diversity hire, something like that for vendors. Empaneled vendors need to be, some percentage of them can be women. It is another way that we can look at encouraging women entrepreneurship across the spectrum. So these are the couple of points that I had to share. So thank you so much for giving this opportunity. I would allow it.
Sonia Netalkar, please.
Yes, Sonia, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable MP sir, thank you so much for getting all of us together and giving us an opportunity to express our views. Sir, two things. Number one is we run our own industry wherein we are into manufacturing of auto ancillary components. As you're aware, we are not a part of the essential services and our operations have been shut completely for almost 2 months now. Which is taking a big toll on the way our workers have been reacting to this whole lockdown situation. We are completely for the fact that we need to pay, our workers and, in times like this so that they can run a family. But there are a few set of them who take undue advantage of this whole scenario as well. And this is point number one. Point number two is, I am developing an industrial park in Belgaum region, and this basically is to boost the manufacturing capabilities that India has and to get bigger companies to come into Belgaum and start their manufacturing units. So why I talk about both of this is one of the biggest challenge that we see going forward, developing a private industrial park, is the labor laws that we have in the country. Unlike someone like China, who was extremely capable of having very lenient labor laws, which not only help the employer hire but also to retrench employees. Something like that will be very, very essential going forward, because our Honorable Prime Minister, sir, talks about making the most of companies exiting China. But if our labor laws continue to be this stringent, it will be really difficult, because there are some people, I wouldn't say all of them, maybe 90% of the group really want to work, but there is that, small 5, 6, 7, 8% of employees who like to create a ruckus. They like to have, they like to form unions. So if something which is in favor of an employer in terms of labor laws has been implemented, it will be a big relief for employers, because we employ more than 250 direct employees. So we don't have any contract workforce. It becomes really, really difficult for us to really understand why we did that in the first place. Today we feel it would have been a better option to have contract employees, but we've been supporting these families for over 50 years now. Our industry is more than 50 years old. But at times like this, and with the mentality of workforce changing, some things, some policies which will help the employer retain the best workforce and sometimes do away with people who are not really in the frame of mind of working. Something like that will really not only promote industries like us, but will give a big boost to more industries, to more foreign companies coming into India.
Okay, thank you, Sonia. Iti Rawat.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Riti.
Hello. Good afternoon, Honorable MP Rajeev ji. I'm representing WEFT Foundation, which is a consortium of women entrepreneurs. We have got more than 1,000 plus women entrepreneurs already on our platform, and we are supporting them with various means, etc. Now, the major issues that has been consolidated by me before the conference call, some of them that came up was, one was on most of the businesses are looking forward to move online or looking forward to pivoting themselves because of the loss of business that they are foreseeing for the coming next 2 years. One is that there is not much development that has happened specifically on the women entrepreneurship development programs, incubation cells, as well as accelerator programs specifically for women that can be provided by the government. Apart from that, also, if there is provisions, etc., where we can get women move online very quickly with their services, etc. So from our side, from WEF side, although we have done our due bit of moving women, we have got an online platform now for women. But at the same time, if there is support and help that has been provided from the government side, that is where we would be able to bring a major difference to many women entrepreneurs. Also, some of the very, very small entrepreneurs from women, people who are running restaurants, etc. They are the ones who are facing major challenges right now with the FSSI food regulations, etc. The labor loss that they have recently faced because of the migrants moving back to their cities, etc. These are the people who are looking for, again, help in the working capital. You have already mentioned how they can get support through loans, etc. And that is what I'm going to take it back to them. But anything apart from that, that you can help support these small-time entrepreneurs, that is going to really help us. We'll be looking forward to your advice and suggestions.
No, so just so that everybody understands, I'm nobody to give you any advice or suggestions. My entire focus is to hear you, and if you have anything specific, feel free to email me. I'm hearing you and I'm taking down notes, but there is an email ID, rajeev@rajeev.in. Please send a proposal. I am reasonably convinced what Mr. Ratnaprabha said in the beginning, that there is a need for an overall women entrepreneurship policy or a framework or an architecture. So my view would be that if all of you have ideas towards that, suggest that on email. And then maybe what we can do is form a few of you can get together, work with my office and create a framework and a sort of a talking points on what the policy should should contain. So we will go to Uma Reddy now.
I cannot unmute.
Yeah.
Thank you. So from the vision statement of our Honorable Prime Minister to what were the various financial options that were rolled out yesterday by our Finance Minister, the whole different schemes that were there. There's the 3 lakh crores, the instant loan availability, or the funding to CGTMSE. Everything sounds great as far as finance accessibility is for MSMEs, and largely most of the women entrepreneurs are in the micro and the small enterprises. But what actually is going to happen is they're going to get into a debt, which has got a 3 months moratorium, no doubt, in regard to the interest, but the interest is going to add on. There is no interest reduction, right? Nor there is, nor does it say there is an interest waiver. So that is going to add to the cost. And unless the industry sustains itself, so only then they can take it forward. So taking forward the thought of what the Prime Minister said about being resilient and make in India, and the opportunities that are going to come out of, companies moving out of China and looking at India as another possibility. Especially, I come from the electronic sector. I manufacture transformers and we do coils for ventilators. So where it comes from is that we need a facilitation cell. And what is required is ease of doing business, a facilitation cell, a task force for looking at joint ventures, new business opportunities, whom to go to. And I'm sure organizations like Ubuntu can be a kind of a nodal organization that can facilitate this whole process, because Madam Ratnaprabha has already been there in the government, so she understands that if Ubuntu can be part of this body or a task force, there can be a nodal organization that can support a B2B interaction between entrepreneurs and looking at new business opportunities. And that is an area that I would like you, and we'll also send you a note. And I have just 2 more points. One is on the PF, which the Finance Minister rolled out, that 12% plus 12% will be borne by the government of India, but it actually doesn't reach out to many of the entrepreneurs here in Bangalore, largely because it's 90% of the staff should have salaries less than 15,000. And in Karnataka, the minimum wages being very high, many of the companies could not access this support. And the most important is if there could be a co-funding support for paying the wages, like some of the entrepreneurs here mentioned, like Sonia, there is a support for funding, co-funding these wages for the last 2 months to these staff of MSMEs. It will be good, especially from ESI. I've been in business for 35 years. I've been paying for 35 years ESI. And I don't think we've hardly used it, probably only in the last few years where the ESI hospitals improved. And the ESI is sitting on a huge corpus fund. So if not at pandemic times, when can the ESI actually support part payment of wages? So these are my 3 points which can be conveyed. I'll put it down on an email and send it.
But I want to respond to you, Ms. Reddy. I want to say a few things.
Please.
Just so that you know, yesterday was one set of announcements. The government of India is going to still roll out another 7.5 lakh crores over the next 3 days. I believe, and you don't hold me to it, but it is my gut feel that there will be some income support part of that. For migrants, for some category of businesses, there may be some income support that is in the pipeline. So that is point number 1. Point number 2 is, I accept your point that currently there is only a moratorium, but there is no relief on the interest and or principal. But these are early days. And I want you to understand there are 2 phases to the government of India's fight or response to COVID-19. One is what I call the soft landing. That is, an existing business is not put under overstress vis-a-vis cash flows in the interim so that the business remains intact. Then there's a second phase, which is to catalyze the business and make it grow. So I don't think you should assume or be or come to the conclusion that what you heard yesterday is the last word on MSMEs or indeed corporates. The headline message from the Prime Minister is we believe as a country, we will be significant manufacturers for the world going forward. And if that is true, we cannot afford to have even one business today, whether it employs 10 people or 100 people or 10,000 people. We don't want any business to become insolvent and go into liquidation. So the government of India's approach to this is to preserve business, to protect business. So please have that confidence in your mind that while yesterday was the first step, there will be a second step, there will be a third step, and we don't know when this COVID-19 virus will get resolved. We are having to live with this in a very, very different world. So the government is very, very committed to ensuring there is no business failure. At the same time, there are moral hazard issues. We have to be careful in terms of giving out money like that. So I think you should be confident that this is not the last word on what support you will get. And currently, moratorium is about making sure people are not panicking. You don't have to worry about paying your money to the banks and worry about paying the interest. So I think that is what we have crossed now.
And that's why we are bringing it to you, because she did mention yesterday that there would be other interventions for MSMEs. So these
and believe in your mind. Yeah, Mr. Reddy, just believe in your mind, as I believe, that the government of India will not allow any real, good, hardworking business to go insolvent. Okay, nobody will allow a failure. It is not in our interest as an economy. It's not in our interest as a government. It's not in your interest either. Who's next?
Savita, sir.
No, can I just, Chaya has been asking. Can I go to Chaya and then we'll come to Sarika?
Yes, please.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Rajeev ji, namaste.
Namaste.
Rajeev ji, I am a rural social entrepreneur, and my unit is one of the most successful unit of the Khadi and Village Industries Commission.
Very good.
Rajeev ji, my biggest worry is that today, as you address queries or issues the women entrepreneurs have, we women from rural Bharat are completely sidelined and ignored. Neither are we somewhere part of women organizations that are in urban Bharat. And neither have we been able to capitalize on any of the subsidies, grants, you name it. I have paid an interest rate of 14.5% to clear 4 CR loan and still make my unit a success. My kind request is, please see to it that women from rural Bharat, we are contributing enormously. We are stopping migration of rural folk to cities. And today we are manufacturing products that are world class, and especially in the agri-business sector, we are getting the biggest companies to Bharat. I mean, so even not just to Bharat, but to rural Bharat. See, I would be packing for Walmart, to Spar hypermarket. My entire team is uneducated. They have been given skill development to manufacture world-class products. We might not be in the limelight where we have been part of the women's organizations, but kindly, Rajeev ji, I request you to address and see that we women from rural Bharat are given that recognition that we truly deserve. And I have just one more request, Rajeev ji. Our Honorable Modi ji was speaking about being self-reliant. We have the country's leading R&D institutes. It's very sad that today, even for a lab test, we have to depend on Intertech in Germany. My unit is in Naguvanhalli. It's 4 kilometers away from Srirangpatna. I need to send it to Intertech. Either if it's something to do with exporting to EU and US, it has to go to Intertech Germany. Or the nearest in India, in Bharat, I have to send it to Intertech in Gurgaon. We have thousands of scientists and organizations like CFTRI, NIFTIM, and it is very pathetic that for a lab test, just for one export, we need to send it to Germany. And one final query, please, Rajeev ji. The thing is that, see, we come with the best technology transfers to be self-reliant. I'm one of the largest buyer of tribal honey and even fresh fruits from local farmers. What I realize is for exports, we need a simple technology to have jams without sugar. Currently, we are doing without preservative, color or flavor. But without sugar, we don't have a technology in Bharat. Now we are planning to speak to Israel, but can we as a social enterprise, small scale industries with world-class products, can we afford to buy technology transfer from Israel? So these three requests will be really appreciated. And you have initially once, even back to when I tweeted in Twitter about an issue we had, you walk your talk. Dhanyavad Rajiv ji. This is what I can say.
So Charlie, my request is if you could just send me a note
Yes.
on what rural women entrepreneurs would like in that policy.
Wonderful.
Please give me your ideas and I'll push it. I think to this audience, not that I'm a person who will talk to the audience what they want to hear, but I believe strongly that there is a need for a women entrepreneurship policy, if not a policy, at least a focus and an architecture. So if we can work on that, and in that we create a category for rural women, please do send me your suggestions.
Kindly, Rajiv.
Thank you. Who's next? Sarita.
Savita, sir.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes, Savita. Savita?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So Namaste Rajeev ji. It's nice to have this interaction and meet all these wonderful women online.
We can hear you.
I
Go
have
ahead.
2 points to make. One, okay. So one is on the GST for products. Making GST on receipt of payments would really ease the working capital burden for a lot of companies, women entrepreneurs as well as men. So that's something that if the government can consider, which was previously the case in the VAT regime, but that's been a change in GST. That's point number 1.
Right.
Now, Modi ji has talked about, the Made in India initiative, which is fantastic. I've made a representation to the office of Mr. Piyush Goyal, and I have reason to believe that it's being very positively considered. When a lot of products in India are being imported, phones and electronic products have the country of origin, but consumers to prioritize made in India products, then country of origin label on all products is essential. On consumer goods I'm talking about. And so that's something that you can take forward. MSME industry ministry has responded positively, and they said that they have shared it in a report to the PMO. But there can be a slip between the cup and the lip. So I would request if you can, push this, and a note to you as well. And also for the online listings, because today when we buy products online, there is no identity. You don't know whether the lunch bag you're buying was made where. So if the country of origin is there, it really will give a push to MSMEs for men and women. So these were the 2 points I wanted to share.
All 3 great ideas. If you could just put it in a note, I've written it down, will help me, but if you put it in a note and send it to me as well, please. Thank you.
It's the email ID.
Certainly, I'll do that.
Who's next?
So we have Priya Krishnan.
Yes, go ahead.
Priya, go ahead.
Hi. Good afternoon to everyone. I just wanted to, I run a childcare business. It is, in a sense, we hire about 3,500 women, and we provide childcare to women who go back to work. One of the points that while we don't fall necessarily in the MSME category, one important consideration might be the fact that some of these industries are also represented by women, and specifically for educational institutions, which I'm sure you're aware, Mr. Chandrasekhar, is the fact that we are not currently collecting fees. A lot of us are continuing to retain our staff because it's very tough for us to. I mean, one, it's the right thing to do, but more importantly, the skilling and is a big aspect of what we do ourselves today. The working capital issue is probably the biggest for educational institutes today, just given there is no income and there is a huge degree of outflow from a fixed cost standpoint, both for rentals as well as people. So if in addition to this specific women represented businesses, if you could look at and have a thought process around that, that would be great. The second also is around GST. I think there have been several points made around GST, but again, in education, GST sits squarely under the exempt list, but we tend to, we are expected to pay GST on most of the services that we avail of. So for example, rentals, etc., which ends up making our cost structure, higher than what we can charge from customers. So in a sense, we're paying it and we aren't taking it from customers. So if there is at least again where businesses are sitting in the exempt list, if it's a possibility for the government to consider how input in those areas is treated, it would be great. We've again made several representations both as a preschool industry as well as part of the school industry, but we haven't made very much progress. So I just thought I would put that in here as well. I'll also drop you an email on both.
Yeah, I'll again just interrupt this stage to cover 2 points. One is this issue about GST, and I want to tell you that there is clearly, I'll use the word very carefully, but there is clearly many suggestions or many inputs to the government to redesign the GST. So I am hopeful that there will be, if not an ab initio relook at the GST architecture, not just about in terms of payment during collection, that whole the thing about pay as you collect versus pay as you are due, that on one extent, and the other is many categories of business that have input credit but have no place to use it, which is what Priya just mentioned. So these two are, in my opinion, under active consideration on the GST redesign. The second point I just want to interrupt is what Sonia talked about, which is labor. And I just want to just to broadly tell you that if you have seen what Uttar Pradesh government has done and then the Madhya Pradesh government has done, I think it is now going to be a competition among states to attract investments, and therefore state governments will have to take the lead in creating an atmosphere which is a balance between pro-investment and pro-labor. So the government of India in that will have a very limited role. It is really about which chief minister and which state government is more interested in creating a balanced environment for labor and investment. They will do. I just wanted to make those 2 points because it came up. Who's next?
We have Lata Girish.
Yes, Lata.
Yes, Lata ma'am.
A very good afternoon, Mr. Rajeev.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, you're able to hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Just now, my first point was the same thing like you spoke about the labor laws. When we are talking about one nation and one law, I think it is better that the center puts in labor law, which is followed by all the states. That is my view. And the second one is the public sector companies have been buying a lot of public sector and the large MNCs. They have to have a percentage of material or the, it should be taken from the women entrepreneurs, but that is not getting followed.
Yes.
And my suggestion right now is women entrepreneurs are a minority. So take them under the minority sector, give them all the benefits which is available for the minority sector entrepreneurs as a whole. So that, then I think we will have at least 15 to 20% of the procurement from the women entrepreneurs from all the companies. And my third point is the Small Factory Act, I think has to be taken up. You as our MP, I think you need to take up the Small Factory Act, which was not passed into Parliament.
Right.
And there is absolutely no exit policy for the small entrepreneur as a whole. I think we need to really look at that. And along with that, I have two private limited companies. I'm running two private limited companies. And what has happened is the compliances which have been put on us is too high. And at the same time, now we, along with our auditors, we need to have a company secretary who will be doing all these things. Instead of we having to go for all these people, and they really fleece us. Absolutely, they just send across such huge bills. It is suicidal for any industry to be under a private limited company. Probably the compliances can be made easier for the small entrepreneurs so that we ourselves can file it online. So these are my points, and thank you very much for having us along with you to take care of the policies. Please do go ahead with the policy only for the women entrepreneurs of the country. Thank you so much.
Lata, I'll quickly again interrupt and respond. One is I am a believer, and I'm convinced that in the 200 crore and below category, which is now being reserved for Indian entrepreneurs, that there should be some affirmative action, guaranteed participation by women-owned enterprises. So that is clearly, I think, something that we should insert in this policy. And I'm a believer in it. So I'm convinced about this. So let's work together to make that happen. On this issue of compliance cost, I think it applies. I agree with you. I mean, it makes no sense today for companies to have a chartered accountant, regardless of whether it's a 2 crore turnover, 5 crore turnover, it just increases compliance cost. And I don't know if you've seen something going around on WhatsApp. There's a joke about what happens if Tesla comes to India versus Tesla went to China. And the long list of compliances that Tesla will have to go through in India vis-a-vis China. So I agree. I think since the Prime Minister is now committed to this vision of leapfrogging, and he used the word quantum jump in his speech. He said, we will do a quantum jump of our economy. I think these kind of reforms are natural for you to ask. And I think it is very natural for us as a government to deliver. So I think stay tuned is what I would say. Let's hope that this happens. But the points are absolutely valid. Next, who's next?
We have Pallavi. Yeah, Pallavi.
Yeah. Actually, good evening. Good afternoon, sir. Actually, this is Pallavi here. I'm the present president for Confederation of Women Entrepreneurs. I'm also an architect and interior designer. So I was just listening, all the basically the problems, and then the list of things, to-do list of things to government, to have a lot of challenge at present scenario. See, being an architect, I see whenever we design some kind of a plan or building or a city or whatever it is. So basically, we study the terrain, right? So now the thing is, can we, can government implement, the base problem of all these MSME and SME sector, base problem? First, let's address that, and then, while going up. So then, knock out all the first level problem, second level problem, like that. If a set of a problem with a goal, with a timeline, if at all, if we do this very, very systematically, next time, I think any, number of women entrepreneurs, those who are discussing here, they will definitely applaud the government with, say, for example, 80%, result. Okay, if at all, if we are looking that kind of a parameter in terms of growth, I really applaud the Modi ji, and then, for you guys, and then continuously working for all these systems and process in place. For my, humble, I can say, the request to the government is, when funds are ready, when systems are ready, when process in place, when department is in place, why we are still talking about base problems? Okay, because this is really, really, disappoint me every time from past 5 years. Whenever I go to some session, or whenever I go to, any, just say seminars, or maybe some kind of a, this government organization, maybe I can say the knowledge session. Only one thing is, there is a knowledge, there is a person availability, and then, the systems in place, but there is no action. Action is there, but very, very limited. So, but can we look at, since all are, I think majority people are very much educated here, okay, and they know how to place a strategy, how to actually, flow these things. But why it has not been, considered or not been implemented very effectively? I really, thank whatever, implementation happened, but still we are still, working on basic levels of, industrial problems. This is what, always my, concern is. And the second thing is, since we all are gadget freaks, or maybe, we are all present in online portals, okay, can we look at wonderful, or maybe, usability aspect in terms of operating all these, say for example, I am fetching, say around 10 lakh loan or 20 lakh loan. Is there any online portal is available? Yes, it is available. But only one thing is, the conversion is very, very, limited. So maybe the portal is not working properly, or maybe offline, if at all we are approaching any authorized person is not approaching properly, or maybe not getting it, because in and around, as as an organization president, I am hearing from my own members, even they're actually not even grassroots level, they have gone to second level entrepreneurship, but still they're struggling to get minimum loan facility from MSME sector. I don't know, like literally being an
Pallavi,
architect.
sorry to interrupt. If we can have your suggestions on the mail itself.
Priya, just hold on a second.
Yeah.
Pallavi, so
Sure.
there are two responses, and then you can send me an email. One is, my DNA is that I don't look back and complain too much about the problems that were. I am focused on solving the problems that are, and the problems that will be. So, we can spend a lot of time and wonder about the last 70 years of our nation and why we did not do this and why did not do that. But don't waste our time on that. Let us work together in focusing on the today and the tomorrow. Number one. Number two, if you can very simply take two examples from your members,
Sure.
and who are having a problem in availing a loan facility.
Sure.
Given yesterday's announcements, I'm talking about after yesterday's announcement, then come back to me. You come to me with these two examples and say that despite the 3 lakh crore package and the subordinate debt package, even now these two companies as an example, you take two examples and give it to me. I will make sure that I will go into the dig deep into it and find out why they're not getting it. And if the terms have to be modified or changed, then I'll work with the government to make sure it happens. So I would urge everybody, don't look back, don't complain about the past. That doesn't get us anywhere. Let us work together. We have a government that is interested in basically catapulting each one of you into the next orbit, and solving your problems. Let's focus on that, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Next.
Sir, one second, sir. Can we look at digital portal, strongest digital portal?
So give me a suggestion. Send me your suggestions. Send me your suggestions. Yeah.
Sure, sir. Done, sir. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Can we have Victoria D'Souza, please?
Yes, please.
Victoria?
Hi. Hi, everyone. Good evening, Rajeev. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi. Hi. As we run a waste management company called Swachha Eco Solutions, and we have not shut for even a day. I don't know what was locked down, and I've collected enough garbage, and I have processed it enough, and I have enough material saved and not to send anywhere because of the lockdown. Okay, between this of all this, the only question I have is, Raju, I would like to on a person this thing I would send you a mail about what are the kind of I'm here to talk about sustainability. See, everybody talks about business and everything, and I know economy is down now and everything is right, but I believe that one day we are going to get back. We are not going to stay here, but what I am trying to tell is we all need to work towards sustainability, because whatever case studies we have seen, how much we move towards sustainability, that's where the world can go further. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is you answered my question before, that let's not look into the past and let's go forward, because in the past of 7 years, whatever we have worked towards, I have applied for many loans and many times, and every time it was collateral free on papers and never came to reality. So hope this time at least that I will apply, and if I go through any issues, I will come back to you on this with the.
Yes, please. If you have any problems on that and the scheme is not working, please bring it to my attention and I'll take it up with the government.
Okay.
Sure, that would be a great help. Yeah.
Manpreet Kaur.
Manpreet now? Yeah. Manpreet? Hello?
Okay, somebody else, if she's not on. Anybody else who wants to ask anything?
Yeah, we have Seema.
Yes. Seema, and then there's Aparna Mahesh after that. Yeah.
Yes. Seema?
Hi. Yeah, thanks, Minister Rajeev. Thanks so much for taking my question. I'm managing partner with a early growth equity fund, and I'm also chairperson of a program that got funding from the US State Department to help women entrepreneurs in India. The reality is less than 3% of venture funding goes to women businesses. So a lot of times when there's all these schemes that are floated, unfortunately, every banker needs to have an underlying equity. The real bottleneck is in the unavailability of equity. And after 25 years of having spent my entire career in funding, we are fine, even at our level with all our connects, find it difficult to raise the equity required for the fund. Our request, Minister, is to take, for example, the NIIF or the SIDBI fund of fund programs that the government has very rightfully funded, and make an allocation for women businesses and female fund managers. I wrote an op-ed in Economic Times. The real change will happen when there is a promotion of women fund managers, because going back to the old Hindi adage, jiski lati uski bhais, so asset allocation is critical, and we'd welcome your support. I have emailed to you a copy of the letter that we mailed to Prime Minister Modi and Finance Minister, and I'd greatly welcome your support in getting SIDBI or NIF to intervene in making that allocation to gender lens investing. Thanks.
I think just to quickly respond, I think the better place for this is the fund of funds that was announced yesterday, the 50,000 crores fund of funds, which is almost $8 billion. That is a good place to have some gender allocation and some sort of an affirmative action allocation there. So I think your suggestion on that, I have noted it down, I've written it down, but if you send me an email, then in that overall architecture, we can put this in there. Thank you. We'll take, I'll take about 2 more questions if that is okay. And then, and wind up. Is the last 2 questions.
Can we take Rupa?
There's no, the Aparna Mahesh who it's called.
1 second.
Yeah, Aparna. Yeah, go ahead, Aparna Mahesh.
Sir, good afternoon. I'm very new to this question query, whatever I'm hearing. Very nice to talk to you. I'm a consultant, I'm a psychologist from a different field, but I'm having people coming into my clinic every now and then past 2 months with the husband losing the job and wives are not getting any benefit from the government. And I have cancer patients also who are in my clinic, doesn't know where to run around for this PM fund, for their post-operative funds. So I don't know if I'm to ask this question to you right now, but I thought I'll just check whom should we contact. And they are undergoing severe depression. And I'm treating these patients regularly. As a psychotherapist, I have no answer for them as of now to whom to contact in the government sector. So I thought I'll just put up this. It's not a very big question like others, but I want to know some suggestions, sir. Whom should I contact? We are running around every corner of our state, but we are not getting any thorough answer for this. Kindly help it, or
Yeah,
you can say.
I don't have a pakka answer for you, excepting to say that on healthcare costs, yes, if the person who is the person or the family can reach out to the local MPs, whoever is their MP, the MPs can write a letter to the Prime Minister's relief fund, not PM Cares, but the PM relief fund. And out of that, there's an allocation that is allotted for healthcare treatments of the kind that you mentioned, like cancer treatments, etc., etc. I have done many of these in the past. So if you can reach out to the MPs, don't send all of them to me. Send me some, no problem. I'll try and do my best.
Yes.
There are 3 other MPs in Bangalore, and I'm assuming you're from Bangalore, isn't it?
Yes, I'm from Bangalore only. Ullal.
Yes, so you pick up, you identify the 3 MPs, which are the MPs, and then request them. And like I said, failing which, you send me a letter, an email, and I'll try and see if the Chief Minister or there's any way the government of Karnataka can help. But the suggestion from you that there should be some nodal agency to take care of this on a permanent basis, I will put this as a suggestion to the Chief Minister. I'll take one last question.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. I'll take one last question. Who's the...
Can I put
Vandana
Rashmi on?
Vandana. Yeah.
Okay, Vandana. 1 second.
I'll come back to you after this. I'll come back to Priya. We'll do one more and we'll do Priya. Yeah, go ahead, Vandana.
Good afternoon, sir. I have a slightly different, on a policy level question. I run Taxi with women cabs for women and children. So we keep women and children safe. It's an ecosystem of safety. Now, what I have found, so we train women from the underprivileged in driving skills for 4 to 6 months. Now, what I have tried to do is, apply into NSDC and ASDC and all these skill development portals for funding for this. These itself are way outdated. Okay, I mean the costing that they give, nothing comes. You cannot train somebody in $4,000 right now. On a skill level. A simple thing. Also, the number of targets that you have to train 50,000 people in so much time. So it's very unaccessible to smaller organizations to skill their people. If as a policy you could take this up to make it more accessible to MSME people, for a smaller team, 10 people, 20 people, how do we access this kind of money? And there has to be a shift in the amounts which were designed God knows how many years back. It's not in line with today's.
So, Vandana, quick point. You've heard Mrs. Ratnaprabha who led up this conversation.
Yes.
She is leading the Karnataka Skill Development Mission.
Yes.
So this is at least one good thing has happened out of this, that I'm introducing you to her, her to you. So feel free to engage with her. And meanwhile, like I said, if there's anything I can do at the national level, send me whatever. Either after speaking to Mrs. Ratnaprabha, I'm quite happy to help. I agree that in the skill development mission, the smaller organizations are getting squeezed out, and it's only companies with scale that are able to price it low and therefore get the benefits.
Correct.
So we will have to relook at that, and I think it's logical to look at that. But maybe you should have a first conversation and then come back.
I'll do that. Thank you.
May I request one last question with Rupa, please?
Yes. Yes, Rupa. Is there a...
unmute Rupa, please?
Yeah. Namaste.
Namaste.
I'm heading
Go ahead,
the
Rupa.
Federation of Indian Women Entrepreneurs.
Yes.
You're not audible. You need to be a little louder, please.
Now, am I audible?
Yeah.
So I am representing my organization on behalf of all other women entrepreneurs. My question or suggestions to Rajeev ji is that they have introduced now new loan scheme yesterday.
Yes.
Okay, so now my question is existing loan for a woman entrepreneur is being charged, the interest rate would be around 12%. Now again, if the women take loan upon that, it may be working capital or term loan, the interest rate will be 7.5%, right?
Yes.
It will be burden on the woman entrepreneur. How? It is because already she'll be paying 12%. Now it is moratorium period. Yes, okay, fine. But what next? After the moratorium period is over, then she'll be ending up paying double, right? So that I would like to suggest you to take up with the finance minister, suggesting that only one reduced interest rate, attaching both the loan under one company, one interest, that is reduced interest for 7.5% interest rate.
For the whole loan, for the entire loan.
Yeah, because we are taking under one company. So why differentiate two loans? Why don't they attach the same loan to the existing loan?
Anyway,
You got my point.
I got the point. It is not that simple. The issue is that these are two separate loan transactions, and loan transactions are contracted at different rates at different times.
Yes,
but
yes.
anyway, I
do
understand your point. I understand your point.
Yeah.
Do feel free to send that email. I will put it in
Yeah.
the list of suggestions. But I think you should be open to the fact that that may not happen. What you will get is a lower cost loan today, but it may not end up resetting the cost of the loan that you have contracted earlier. But regardless, I will put this in my list of suggestions.
Yeah, some consideration you can take up, because it will be overburdening in later after the moratorium period. Secondly, what I would like to suggest is what our Modi ji is telling, Digital India, Startup India, so many schemes is been implemented. Why not you people like do the survey and introduce the new scheme. Rather than having this scheme, there is no outcome of this scheme. For example, Digital India. When we say GST or apply for bank loans, we should make paper free. Okay, but ministry is not looking at the schemes what they already have, right? When are they going to do the survey? What is the outcome of these schemes? Rather than including new schemes, why not they improve upon the same old schemes and improve upon that? That is my suggestion.
No, so Rupa, I think I don't know why you get the impression that we are not looking at the scheme. I can assure you that I'm not the government. I'm a member of parliament, but I can assure you that Prime Minister Modi is a person who has very clear outcomes for every rupee that the government spends. So there is nothing like spending it without understanding where it has been spent, whose life has changed. So there is a constant tight monitoring on outcomes of schemes. Number one. Number two, you were a little dismissive of Digital India. Do you know that during this lockdown of the last 60 days, and I'm just going to use this in a lighter way to wrap up this conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
The internet use has gone up by almost 60% around the country.
Yes, yes. I do
Everybody today is behind the internet for media, for meetings, for communication. And the internet in India has not broken even one day. It has stayed resilient. It has met with the increased capacity requirements and increased demand. And that is thanks to Digital India 1.0. So on the second
at ground level,
I'll just add one more point. This whole issue of migrants and the rural poor and the urban poor, if there was no Jan Dhan Yojana technology backbone directly sending money to banks, in a face of a pandemic like this, we would have had chaos. I mean, yes, we still have a lot of problems of migrants moving back to their homes, but many people have got money in their accounts. Farmers have got their money in their accounts, and all of that made possible by technology. So I think, yes, when we look at things, a cup will always look half empty. A glass will always look half empty, but don't forget it was fully empty and we are now at half full. So I always look at things positively, and yes, we have a lot of things to do post this pandemic, but I think we are today working with a government that is determined to make sure that all of you do well. We help you as much as we can and enable you, support you during these trying times. And please continue to listen to the announcements in the next 3 days. And if there is anything in these announcements that you think has been announced but is not working for you, because the banks are not doing it or somebody else is coming in the way, please come back to me, reach out to me. I promise you one thing, I will follow it up with the government. That's point number one. Point number two, I would request Mrs. Ratnaprabha to take the lead. And if we can create a small group of you to design a women entrepreneurship policy or a women entrepreneurship architecture or framework, and you have some basic document ready, I will be happy to work with you and advocate that, market that, convince people in Karnataka and convince people in the central government. So that these two things I'm committed to doing, but a little bit of help I will need from you to help me help you. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish all of you the very best. And Ms. Ratnaprabha, do you want to say something before you end?
No. I would like to thank you again for organizing this all women entrepreneurs meet. Thank you very much for that. And along with my team, I will definitely prepare a note. As I said, I prepared a note and sent it to the Prime Minister's office. So we'll all sit on that. Yes. And we have a base document. We'll improve, and then we'll take your support to have a separate women-centric policy. And for the one of participants who talked about the skill, I thought I'll tell her that we did realize that the moment I took charge, I realized that we were only funding training institutions. And so we had meeting with industry associations, and we decided to directly fund the MSMEs and other industries directly so that they can train their employees. But unfortunately, because of this corona, we were all shut down. And what Mrs. Vandita raised
Vandana
the
Suri.
question, we'll
Vandana.
definitely have a solution for that soon. Very
Thank
soon.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank
and
you very much. Thank
thank
you. Thank you. Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you, sir.